Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you all of my favorite products for the month of April, and I'm just going to be showing you in a get ready with me style video. That way you can see the way I've been using all of the products. So to start off with, I prepped my skin with the Palmetto Vitamin C Serum, and then I applied a moisturizer. This is the Neutrogena Liquid Moisturizer with SPF 70, and I like this because it's really liquidy and it just soaks right into my skin. And I also went ahead and applied a primer, and I just dropped it, but it's the Smashbox Photo Finish Light Primer. And it's really lightweight, and it just helps to keep my makeup lasting just a little bit longer. And now I'm using the MAC Studio Fix Fluid in NC20. I know it's kind of light, but my skin's still really light. So I'm just going to apply some on my palette and just take my Sigma F80 and just start working it into my skin. I just picked up a new foundation, a new bottle. I ran out and I went over to the MAC store, and I did pick up a few new things. I don't think it's enough to really share in a haul, but I did get a new Prep and Prime. I actually got two. I got the Radiant Rose, and also I picked up another Light Boost. So I got the more pinky one and then the more yellow toned one. There's actually another one as well. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like more orangey peach. But I didn't feel that that went with my skin very well. I think that would be maybe better for darker skin. Okay, so I'm just going to apply a light layer because I am going to be using concealer. So once I get it blended in pretty well, also taking it down onto my neck a little bit so I don't have a line. Okay, so priming my eyelids. You guys know I love the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden. I just love this, and I don't see a reason to change because it works amazing. So I'm just going to apply this all over my lids, and you can see it just kind of brightens and just provides a really nice base for my eyeshadow. It's super thin. It's not like the paint pots. I feel like those are a little bit thicker and they're just a little bit harder to blend. This one just blends out super easy, and I just really like it. So I am just going to pat that in and kind of just let it dry. I take a little bit in the inner corner, whatever's left over, and then also drag it underneath my lower lash line. And I don't always do this, but sometimes I want to brighten up just underneath my eyebrows and kind of on the lid in the inner corner. So I'm taking a little bit of the NYX eyeshadow base in white, and I'm just barely taking a tiny bit and just applying a little bit in those areas. So it's not going to be like super bright, but it is going to be a little bit lighter right there. And it's only just because I want to keep those areas just a little bit lighter, sort of like highlighted. So whatever I put over them, it's just going to keep them brighter. Okay, so these are the shadows that I've been using. I just put them in a little quad so I don't have to reach. I have these MAC palettes, and they're just, I don't know what's in them, and I always grab the wrong one, so I just keep them in here. This is Wedge, Ricepaper, Nylon, and Blanc type. So I'm just going to take a fluffy brush, and I'm using Blanc type or Blanc type. And I'm just going to set the entire lid with Blanc type, just with a fluffy brush, so really light layer. I'm not packing it on or anything. just making sure that everything is dry so the other shadows are easier to blend. And now I'm going in with a MAC, this is a 217, and I'm using Wedge. And it's sort of like a gray brown. It looks really light in camera because I have really bright lights, but it's just a really nice crease shade. It's a little bit darker than it's showing up, but I have fallen in love with this again. And it's like the perfect brown. I know like brown should be brown, but there's that perfect brown that you find for yourself, and this is it. And I stopped using this for a long time, and I went back to using it, and I love it. Actually, you know what? I forgot to do something, and I've been doing this lately. So I'm gonna just stop right here and go back and show you. So I've been taking this paint pot in Quite Natural, and I have been doing this for the last week or so. So I'm just gonna take like a flat brush, dip my brush in it, and I've been putting this in the outer corner, and then also bringing it underneath my lower lash line. So I really like that bottom lash line to be sort of smoky, and sometimes eyeshadow just isn't enough, like it doesn't stay put and it's just like not dark enough. So I feel like this really helps to keep the shadow there all day. So I lay this down first, and then I'll go over it with Wedge, and it kind of just smokes it out and makes it look really pretty because this is just a little bit darker. Doesn't have to be neat, it can be a little messy. We just basically want to get that paint pot down because it's going to make everything stick. And paint pots tend to stay on a little bit longer than eyeshadow. It's kind of like using a primer. So just get that on, and I'm gonna go underneath my eyes with concealer, so if you mess up, it's okay. So that's kind of where we're at. Nothing too, it's not defined, it's kind of smoky. And then I'm just going to take my 217 and just kind of go over that and blend it out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go back to Wedge, that crease shade, and I'm going to continue putting that into my crease and also go over that paint pot, and then take whatever's left over on my brush and blend out underneath my lower lash line. And you want to keep this part of your eye, I'm trying to stay away from it so I can keep that highlighted. And just go over that paint pot. And this is the perfect shade. Wedge is a perfect shade for like a daytime smoky eye because it's not like super intense. Just like a really nice light brown. But it's not like a red brown, it's just like a really nice neutral gray brown. The Quite Natural does have a little bit of red in it, but I kind of like that for like underneath my lower lash line. I really like using this one from Lorac called Taupe, and it is sort of also like that reddish brown, so if I topped that over the Quite Natural, it would also be really good too. Okay, so I just want to take a look and make sure that everything is blended out. I'm actually going to take a clean brush and go in with a little bit of the Blanc type and just make sure that it's blended out toward the eyebrow. Make sure it's blended out down here. Okay, now for the lid, I'm taking actually, I'm going to take another 217 and I'm taking Ricepaper. As you can see, these colors get a lot of love with these shadows. So I'm just dipping it in the Ricepaper and I'm putting this on the lid. And I'm kind of sticking in the inner corner and bringing it toward the middle. I don't want to get too much on my outer corner because I want to keep that sort of deeper and darker. I don't want it to be too shimmery. And Ricepaper isn't really a shimmery shade. It looks like it is, but it's not super shimmery. It kind of just gives like a glow. This one called Nylon, this one is super shimmery, so I just barely tap my brush and put that in the inner corner. So it's a little bit more shimmery, but I'm keeping it at the inner corner. And then just blending it in with that Ricepaper, just a tiny bit. Okay, now to brighten up my inner rim, I'm using Rimmel Scandalize in Nude. I'm just lining my waterline. Okay, now I'm going to conceal, and then after that I'm going to apply liner. So the two shades that I've been using are NC20 and NW15 from the MAC Pro Longwear concealers, and I use a tiny bit of each of these and they make the perfect combination. If I use one, it's too yellow. If I use the other one, it's too pink. So I just mix them together. I use my palette and I just use my fingers and just tap it on. I put some right underneath my eyes. I'll take it in the center of my forehead, bring it down my nose, and then on my upper lip. And I've been avoiding the chin area just because sometimes I feel like it brightens it too much and kind of draws attention. So I'm just going to take my foundation brush and just blend it out. And I'm not taking it all the way up to my eyeshadow. I'm going to use my finger for that just because I feel like it blends a little bit better up there than getting like that big, trying to get that big brush really close to my eye and taking away the shadow. So just tapping it in. And when I'm done with my bronzer is when I'm going to be using my highlighting pens. So I'm just going to let that dry for a few minutes. And while that's drying, I'm just going to go ahead and apply or fill in my brows. I'm just going to comb them out really fast and use I think this is a MAC 263 and my Anastasia brow pomade or dip brow in Taupe. And I like starting at the outer part of my eyebrow and then working my way in. That way I have less product on my brush. And just quickly filling them in. I've been trying not to overfill my eyebrows. I feel like for a while there I was going overboard. So I'm trying to stay away from that. And just taking my, where'd it go? My comb and just combing through it again really fast just to make sure that it's blended out. Okay, now for liner. This is the Kat Von D tattoo liner, and the shade is Trooper. It's just a black, and I'm just going to use a mirror so I can see a little bit better. And this, I've noticed, gets into like the little fine lines in my crease, so I do that part last. So I just line my top lash line. I stay away from the inner corner for now. And then I make my wing. And then at the very end, I go in. And then I kind of let it dry, because I don't know why. I don't know if it's really because it's liquidy, but it seeps into those lines. Once it dries, it's fine. I applied one coat of mascara, and now I'm applying my bronzer. I'm back to using Hoola bronzer because I love it, and I'm just applying this in the normal contour places. And then for blush, I'm using something a little bit different. Where is that? I heard someone talking about this and I thought I would pull it out, and it's the Milani Luminoso. So pretty. It's like a peachy sort of shimmery blush. So I am going to apply this, and it's sort of like a blush and highlighter in one. And it's really light on my skin, but it does give me like a nice like peachy glow. Perfect for like summer. Like it just gives you like a really nice like healthy looking glow. So I'm just gonna apply this, and then I am also going to use a highlighter, and I'm using the Milani Luminoso by the Balm, and just a little bit on the high points of my cheeks. And then for lipstick, this is a really fun, bright, like spring shade, and this is Betty Bright from MAC. This is a an old MAC collection lipstick. So perfect, like bright spring, fun color. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with my MAC Prep and Prime highlighters, and I like doing this after because I feel like I can really clean everything up and brighten. So I'm taking a little bit of the Radiant Rose, and I'm not even taking a lot, just like a little bit, and just taking it right underneath. Also a little bit down my nose, and then taking a little bit of the Light Boost, doing the same thing. And I like mixing the two together because just like with the concealers, I feel like one is too pink and one is too yellow. Like I'm right in the middle. So I've got those on, and I'm just going to tap it in with my fingers, and it just brightens everything up and cleans everything. And then I can just blend it in to where my blush and highlighter is, and it doesn't really affect it at all because I'm kind of staying up here close to my eye, and you get that sort of like extra brightened look. And once it dries, it'll all blend in together. And then last, I am just going to take my second coat of mascara. The first coat I use the L'Oreal Voluminous, and I love this combination. The second coat I'm using the Jordana Best Lash Extreme. I stick to just the top lashes with this one, and then this one I do a coat on the top and the bottom lashes. So I like to do this after, oops, I got a spot right there. I'm gonna wait for it to dry. I like to do this after I've highlighted and everything is done, because if I do this and then I do that, for some reason I always get it everywhere. So I barely just touch my bottom lashes. If I go in too much, my lashes are really long on the bottom, so it just looks too crazy. So if I need to go back in with a Q-tip, I usually like to wait till everything is dry, otherwise you get smears. So this is the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!